What's up, world? This is WeNeeda5th. This your man Mo. Got my man P in the building.
Looking like a dead Jedi with his fade, but I'm good.
Got my man Hill on the line. Okay. And special guest in the building. Uh, uh, welcome guest, Kyle. My man Kyle in the building. What's going on, man?
What's going on, family?
The Super Knicks fan.
It's fam, right? It's fam.
Family reunion. Let's get it.
That's fam right there.
And it's fitting because today we're gonna try to do something I think that's long overdue. At WeNeeda5th, we're gonna create the NBA Hall of Fame. This is just for the NBA. So we're not looking at international play. We're not looking at high school, college, ABA play. We're just looking at NBA play. And we want to create a new hall for the NBA. We're going to chop up some of our criteria. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty of who should be in this Hall of Fame. I want to start off. For me, I know where I stand, but I want to kind of see where you guys are at with it. Championships. How much should they weigh in the consideration of a player for our NBA Hall of Fame?
I think it definitely adds to your legacy. You know what I mean? But at the same time, 12 to 15 people win it every year. You know what I mean? So I think once you look at the individual stats, you use that somewhat of a tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, like any other categories, I don't think any of these categories that we'll name is the end or be all. But I do take it into heavy consideration,
Kyle, where are you at with championships? How much should they be considered in the discussion of whether or not a player is eligible for the Hall of Fame?
Obviously the object of the game is to win. So, I think you obviously have to take it into consideration. I really think depending on the sport, you weigh it differently. I think because the NBA is so much more of an individual driven sport as opposed to a team game like baseball, that it should weigh a lot more in the NBA than it does in a sport like baseball. So, when we're considering, NBA Hall of Famers, I weigh championships heavily. Like Pete said, it's not the end all be all, but I think you have to put a significant weight upon it for NBA Hall of Fame consideration.
Hey, I'm gonna get to you, but I want to kind of give you credit before you start talking. We had talked about this a little bit before in our pre-production meeting, and one of the things that really stuck out from that meeting was, hey, you said that you want to have the Hall of Great. You know what I mean? You don't want to have the Hall of Very Good. You want to have the Hall of Great. And even with winning a championships doesn't mean that doesn't equate to, hey, you being great as a player. And it made me reconsider my stance on certain players. So but I still think that championships should be a part of the equation. It's not the be all end all, to P and Kyle's point, but I think it does need to be part of the equation, and I think because that's part of the greatness that we're talking about. That, hey, at at the end of the day, there's only one team that's going to win the championship and whatnot. So, but Phil, where you at on where championships should weigh? Where?
Percentages probably 0.003, little to none.
Okay.
Little to none. 0. So I'm like farthest at the end of the spectrum, guys. This panel falls in line just like I thought it would.
And why not? Explain to the people why you don't think championships should be
I mean, you just
a major part of the equation.
I mean, you have happenstance, you have luck, you have injury. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from some tremendous great players that just couldn't achieve greatness. So therefore, I have a few on my list that clearly I respect Paul's line of demarcation with championships, but that just opens the door for this conversation, which I think we're going to go down. So little 0 almost.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay.
I took into account these players without championships.
Okay. And what I'm willing, and like I said, you kind of shifted my thinking on certain things. What I'm willing to acquiesce to is, hey, a championship doesn't give you automatic access to the Hall of Fame. And that, hey, if you're a champion for this NBA Hall of Fame, you should have extraordinary numbers anyway, to get into the Hall of Fame. And that's no slight to some of the glue guys that want to be leaving out of the Hall of Fame because of that shit. But I think the championships definitely should be, because I think it for the truly great players here, that's, I think, their line of demarcation. That's what they're chasing, is a championship. Now, were they able to accomplish their goals? You set out a goal for yourself. Were you able to do it? Were you talented enough? Were you smart enough? Whatever the case may be, whatever you had to be to get it. Yeah.
Lucky enough.
But, or tough enough. I think as we move along, we're going to have some players that we can chop that up with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're saying that championships should be part of the equation, but not a major part of the equation. Like, hey, I would say 10, 20%. Cat's good with that?
That's too low?
To me, honestly, it depends on the player. Just to be clear, when I do the demarcation thing, it's for like great players. You know what I mean? Like the fifth, fourth best player on the team doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? You're the fifth or fourth best player on the team.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
I get you.
I mean, I think there has to be and obviously we're gonna go down the list of criteria. I think there has to be a baseline statistical standard, obviously. But take for instance, players that haven't won championships that are in the Hall of Fame, Karl Malone, John Stockton.
Mm-hmm.
They have extraordinary individual statistics. All-time leader in assists. I think Malone is third all-time in scoring now, something like that, fourth, something like that. Extraordinary individual statistics. I think for a player that doesn't have, I think you have to weigh championships such that if you don't have them, your numbers have to be out of this world. You can't just be 24-9. You have to have done something extraordinarily special, individually, statistically, to then achieve that level. So I think you have to weigh. I weigh championships. I would say 30-40%.
Right. And before we get into it, if you average 24-9 and you had a span of 11 years of averaging 25-12, and then you had some careless years off, maybe 4, and that drops your rebounding down to 9 points, you're out.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And if
that you got to give me some more. You got to give me some more information than that.
Context
How many? You got probably got to give me a little bit more context. How many? Did you make it to the finals? 8 times and 5 times and lose or something like that. You got to give me a little bit more you got to give me a little bit more context than that. But generally speaking, I would think that player would make the NBA Hall of Great and not the NBA Hall of Fame.
Fellas, want to talk about numbers. We just started talking about numbers, and Kyle, you brought up a situation with Karl Malone as far as, hey, because he doesn't have a championship, his numbers have to be extraordinary to be considered, and he's 3rd in scoring, and I think he's in the top 30 in rebounding, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's 7 in rebound, top 10 in rebound. So you could make a case for him.
Boards, right?
14. He might as well be 15,000. It's 14,968, something like that. But he's like 32 away from 15,000, so might as well give it to him. How do what
15,000 boards? Jesus Christ!
What do the numbers need to be like? What type of numbers? Hill, I'll start with you. What type of numbers do you need to see from a player in order to be considered for our Hall of Fame? Where do they need to be as far as all time?
I'll go 20K, 10K, and that's it. So 20K in points, 10K in rebounds. Spare me with the dimes. And to be fair, a high average in blocks, over 2 blocks. If you're gonna give me rebounds compilated.
All right. So wow. All right. And I thought your number would be a little bit higher for points. I'm at the point where I think my cutoff would be probably 25,000.
Oh, you got a good. You have a Hall of Great then, Mo. I'm there for you then.
25,000 points as far as just the floor. Like, hey, the least amount of points that I'm willing to accept, period, to get into the Hall of Fame.
It's a high number for offensively with points, so your rebounds got to be considerably high too as well. Then.
Yeah, I would whatchamacallit, do it probably at the 14 or 13 mark. With the rebounds, that would put me in the top like 15 rebounds all times to consider. And for me, I would consider
this is a formula, and this is a formula of both somewhere, right? Are you trying to tell me that the number has to be somewhere in the range of 40,000 or 35,000 or 37,000? Got to get me there.
As far as
points and rebounds. If you want to throw dimes in there, I mean,
yeah, I was about to throw dimes in there, and I was going to throw a caveat with the dimes. I'm looking at your turnovers too.
Nah,
with Russell Westbrook, he has close to, I think, 10,000 dimes, but he also has close to 5,000 turnovers. So for every dime he's giving you a turnover. I'm looking at the whole game. they don't stop with just scoring. It's rebounding, assists, blocks, steals, all that.
Are you weighing each individual statistical category the same? Are you points and blocks count the same? You would weigh those?
I think for me, if you're meeting any of those thresholds, hey, you're in my consideration range. Okay. That's the least amount you need to meet to get into my consideration range.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm a little different, so more on that, and I'll explain how we go later. We get to it.
I think 25,000 is actually a pretty good number. It is a high threshold. There's only 27 players in NBA history that have scored more than 25,000 points. So it is a pretty high.
You be top 25 all-time scoring in NBA history with 20. You're in the top 25. If you're hitting 25,000, you're in the top 25 of scoring.
I like that number.
Time.
I like that number.
You know, that's what I'm going with. And like I said, 13 to 14,000 rebounds, you're in the top 15 of all-time rebounders. Once you get into 10,000 assists, you're in the top 10 of assists.
Let's get to the cooking.
Okay. Hey, you say you wanted to talk about your numbers and what numbers you using, hell? Go ahead. Put us up.
I'm in a range of double doubles for like 13 to 15 years. So you give me something like 20 and 10 for 13 to 15 years, and you're in that range of 20,000 points, you're okay with me.
Okay. P, where you at with the numbers, man?
For me, it's more like because the threshold's more for like that's when I'll start considering you. Because there's so many caveats to it. But if you like 20,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists, 20 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, 10 assists a game, that's when I'm like, you're on the radar. Doesn't necessarily mean you're in. Frankly, I'm ready to, I'm waiting to start chopping people. One of the reasons is I'm looking at Vince Carter, who's 25,000.
Right.
To me, he's not a Hall of Fame.
I think Vince might have gave you what?
But
6,
again,
5.
We just talk.
Not in a row.
But we just talk. We just talking consideration here, though, right?
No,
you would at least right.
I consider him, and he's not in.
Consider it. Right.
Him and Reggie Miller, I consider them, but they're not in.
All right. And Kyle, you said 25. You cool with the 25,000?
Yeah, I mean, I like 25,000. My only issue is, I'm really cool with the 25,000. My only issue is, when you have guys that have like, see, I mean, nobody would ever consider Derick Rose a Hall of Fame, but for a 4 or 5 year period, he was like a comet. So, for instance, in the NFL, you have a guy like Calvin Johnson who just made the NFL Hall of Fame, and he had a short career. Obviously, statistically, he's not on the level of the greats and whatnot. Like, is there room for consideration for an NBA Hall of Famer who doesn't have an extended career, who had an injury-shortened career, but had an extremely high during, almost like a Sandy Koufax? Is there room for that?
No,
I think universal.
Nate had a better run than him, and Nate Archibald had a better run than him. The answer be no. They both.
Personally, no. I think we're all fans of Grant Hill and Penny Hardaway. I don't think none of us have them in. Because it's the Hall of Fame career. You know what I mean? Not the Hall of Fame your best 5 years. I understand what you're saying. Like Derrick Rose was on pace to be a Hall of Famer, but injuries reared his ugly head,
And I think that's part of what we're trying to get back to is that, hey, the Hall of Fame is supposed to be exclusive. It's supposed to be really tough to get in. And You, yeah, it's supposed to be exclusive, man.
But I don't think Derrick Rose has to worry about the exclusivity in their Hall of Fame, though. I don't think he's making theirs.
Yeah. Well, he's not making. He doesn't have my vote.
I mean, anything's possible, yo.
Yeah, I don't put nothing.
Listen, I didn't even think he was an option, but okay, we all gonna have our people, I guess.
I mean, but we're gonna talk about, but we'll end up talking about a guy like Dwight Howard, who, I mean, if we're being honest, he had what, 6-7 year, like really,
right,
great run,
right.
And then maybe I don't even maybe another 5-6 years of average to below average.
Below average, yeah, so below average.
If you look, go ahead, Mo.
For Dwight Howard, he would be in. I think because of his rebounding numbers, I think he's like top 10. He's still in the top 10 in rebounding. You could consider him, but I don't think his body of work is enough.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Dwight Howard so the Artist Gilmore has a great chance of getting in if that's the case. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, see, I'm here for chopping people off. He's not in.
I was scared. I thought Artist Gilmore, Chris Webber, those players might
to me
have a chance now.
To me, all those players you named, including Dwight Howard.
Honestly, but Chris Webber's not in the top. He's not. He wouldn't meet the threshold for rebound.
Bro, Dwight Howard averaged 16 and 12. That's not extraordinary to me.
I said consider. I didn't say he would be in.
No, but we're making the Hall of Fame. So does anybody on the panel would vote for Dwight Howard to make it?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like either you're in or you're out.
Well, I think like one thing that I probably wanted to add to the criteria, and for me personally, I feel like you have to have been one of the better players for a 10-year stretch, for a specific for like an era of basketball. And I think from 2000 to 2010, Dwight Howard was the preeminent, one of the preeminent dominant centers in the NBA. There's no two ways about it. For that period of time, he would, if whether you want to consider Tim Duncan a center or power forward, he was either the best or the second best center in the NBA. I don't know how you disregard that and then, not put him in the Hall of Fame.
Because
go ahead, P. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, again, he averaged 16 and 12. To me, I'm looking at this as positionless. Because when he was the best center in the league, the second and third was probably Andrew Bynum and Roy Hibbert. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? So I kind of take positions out of it. At the end of the day, when he played basketball, he gave you 16 points, 12 rebounds.
I mean, his average is peak. I mean, you're talking about 17, 18-year career. And for me, he had 3 or 4 20-point seasons. Out. Done. Clearly. Done.
So Kyle, you would vote him in?
I would. I still would want to dig into the numbers a little bit more, but I would strongly consider putting Dwight Howard in.
See, the problem to me, I think we should get to it. It's been much fun. Dwight Howard is that guy, and you're gonna have this who you invited to the party, and he puts the doorstop at the door, and then comes into a party and acts like it's a hey, everybody else. And then a whole slew of everybody comes through. You don't want to do that. So what you can do is just don't invite him to the party.
And you know what? If I'm sorry, Mo, let me just say this real fast. And I'm fine with leaving Dwight. Like, if that's the baseline, then I mean, if that's like the last, if he's the first person that doesn't get in, or if he's that guy, I'm totally fine with it. Then we're taking like 80% of the people in the Hall of Fame out.
Oh, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, no, I think I have about
That's why I'm here.
30 or 35 people that's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I got
I think that's more than 80.
I got that max at 50.
More than 80%.
At most is 50 Hall of Famers. That's the max.
That's great to hear. Even better. I guess boy, this should be really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Oh yeah. To me, I like dudes like Dwight Howard, Vince Carter, good players. To me, they're not Hall of Famers. I don't even feel like edgy about it. Like I seen them. They were good. They were good. To me, I'm looking at like, everybody can't be Jordan, LeBron. I get it. That's top tier. But to me, they're not the second tier guys with like Barkley, Malone. I don't think they're that. Third tier, you're not in. That's basically how I'm looking at it. I think Dwight Howard is third tier. He's in the tier that just missed.
I think, Kyle, what you're talking about with Dwight Howard is your eye test. You saw him play. You saw him dominate during those years that you were talking about.
I think that hurts him more.
But do we dominate?
How sort of thing Dwight Howard dominated? I think that would hurt him more.
Look,
that would hurt him more.
What I was going to finish off and say was that, hey, with a player like that, where you say your eye test tells you, oh, he should be considered, and like I even said, he top 10 in rebounds. My thing is, what else is on his resume? Does he have an MVP? Does he have a Defensive Player of the Year award? Does he? Can he fill out the rest of his resume?
No,
right now. Go ahead.
That was my bad. Bye. No, finish off. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Right now, all I have on his resume that really stands out is that, hey, you're top 10 in rebounds. He's not in top 25 in scoring. I don't even think he's at the 20,000 point barrier that Hill was talking about. I know he's not at the 25,000 point barrier that I was talking about. So what else does he have? Now he has a chip, but are his numbers good enough without that chip? You know what I mean?
Seven-time All-NBA player, 5-time All-NBA, All-NBA defense, 8-time All-Star. I mean, he doesn't have.
That's voted.
We'll take out the All-Star. Yeah, take out the All-Star. 7-time All-NBA, five-time All-NBA defense.
I think he was one of the
three-time Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, short of he definitely. I mean, I don't even count the championship because that's
you shouldn't.
That's not him. I don't really count that championship. But I mean, those are look. He's on that. I think he's on that borderline. For me, he's on that borderline.
So borderline for me would be something on the lines of Pete Maravich. So, and I don't have Pete in. And Pete's stats dwarf Dwight Howard's. So, I think Dwight Howard's one of the more preeminent, dominant small forwards this game have ever seen, and we should be happy with that. Period.
And that leads me to my next question. Like, hey, where does the eye test go into our consideration? How much of this is, hey, we saw the guy we think, that was a Hall of Fame game or a Hall of Fame talent?
Zero. You'll end up with people like Kyrie Irving in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Okay.
Absolutely zero.
Remember that when we get to Pat Ewing.
Yeah, I think we need to start taking votes. So I'm hearing some names. Like, because I mean, we're defending people, but then we're not putting them in. So what's the point?
Right.
Like right now, Dwight Howard, I think Kyle is a maybe, and there's 3 that says nay. So at the end of the day, Dwight Howard's not in.
Right.
Nope.
Like we could discuss him all day, but he's not in. Yeah. So next player.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm gonna go down. Since we started with scoring, I'm gonna go down the list of the top 25 scorers all time, and we can start with them.
Okay, let's do it.
I got LeBron James,
Yeah, no brainer.
38,000 points, 38,652 points. Almost
Easy.
40,000 points.
Easy.
He's in. He's in. Kyle, he's in.
Yes.
P.
Absolutely.
P.
Yeah, I could save the trouble. 1 through 19 is in.
Are you sure?
Positive.
So Carmelo Anthony is in.
Yep.
Oscar Robertson is in.
He's
Dominique
in
Wilkins is in.
See, this is what I mean right here, and I love Melo. I love Melo, and this is why, see, this is what makes it difficult to judge sports from era to era, because if you come into the league during an inflated era where the scoring is up overall in general, your stats are gonna look your stats are gonna look good. They're going. I mean, Melo got what 28,000 points, and it's great. I mean,
they can only play the game that they
right.
They're allowed to play. Yeah.
He came in the same exact era as LeBron. So are we going to say the same thing for LeBron? He came in the same.
But if we're putting Melo in strictly because he scored 28,000 points, because obviously he hasn't won any championships, didn't have much playoff success and whatnot. If then we're putting him in basically just because he came in to the league during an overinflated scoring era and whatnot. Whereas, you take a person that scored, less than him, but was, better than him, during their era.
They're out.
Let me see.
No, but
what's a good? Let me get it. Give me a second. Because I gotta look up a good example.
And he did make the Western Conference Finals.
Scottie Pippen.
And lost the.
Yeah, he made the Western Conference Finals once. Yeah.
Right.
Scottie Pippen. I mean, the guy gave me 16 seasons of 20 points, so he fits my threshold.
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear someone who's better.
16 seasons of 20 points.
I'm trying to. Give me a second. Go ahead. Finish the conversation. Give me a second. I'm gonna come back with a name.
I'm gonna go down the list of the top 20 scores that P was talking about. Since you had a problem with Carmelo, just make sure everybody is cool with everybody else on the list. We got LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Dirk Nowitzki, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal, Carmelo Anthony. We're going to hold off on Carmelo Anthony. Moses Malone.
Right.
Elvin Hayes, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kevin Durant, Oscar Robertson.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. I think I have an issue with 17. That's my only issue. He's not in on my list.
Dominique Wilkins, Tim Duncan, Paul Pierce.
There lies my problem right there. There's my issue right there. He's not in on my list.
I might
Pierce
concur
not
with
in?
you on that.
No, hell no. Hell no.
But Melo is in.
Yes, he fits my threshold. Well, Pierce didn't give me 10. Paul Pierce didn't give me 10 seasons of 20. No, I'm sorry.
John Havlicek
Doesn't fit the threshold.
and Kevin Garnett.
I think Paul Pierce gave me like 6 of them things.
All right, so right now we're all unanimous on everybody but Carmelo Anthony for you, Kyle. Paul Pierce for me and Hill. Anybody else?
You can swap 20 and 21 because I got him in.
19 is Kevin Garnett. 20 is Vince Carter. 21 is Alex English.
I got him in.
Vince Carter, you have out.
Yes.
I have out also.
Okay. Reggie Miller.
I have out.
I definitely have out. No brainer. He's out.
Hold on. I'm sorry. So we got Alex English in, but we got Vince Carter out.
Alex English averaged 20. Vince averaged like 15.
More seasons.
So we saying Vince is a compiler.
Oh, I can't speak for the other three people on the screen. I am. But
22 seasons.
But this is what I'm asking you, though, Kyle. How are you going to tell me that spiel about Melo and his lack of playoff success in the scoring, but then you're going to fight for Vince? What's the difference?
I'm not fighting for Vince. I'm not fighting for Vince. I'm trying to understand how I wouldn't have Vince or Alex English in. I'm trying to understand how you put Alex English in.
Because he averaged 20. And he made it to the Western Conference Finals. Vince Carter never made it to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, to any conference finals. Alex English is better than Vince Carter, if that's what you want to hear.
Okay.
I mean, the guy gave me 11 seasons with over 20 points, so it helps if you watch. Why not? You know, I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. And that was
Denver was averaging 160
nights that
season. I mean, everybody was averaging 20 on that team.
I doubt if everybody was averaging 20.
I'm trying to find Michael Adams on this list. Give me 1 second. Let me find Michael Adams.
Yeah, I doubt if everybody was averaging 20. But
Alex Kiki, who else was on that squad? Everybody was throwing up big numbers over there.
Let me find Michael Adams. Give me 1 second.
Well,
hold on. What's this?
The next ones are Reggie Miller at 22, Jerry West at 23, Patrick Ewing at 24. I have a problem with that one. Number 25 is James Harden.
Michael Adams averaged 14 points, but go ahead.
Yeah, there's only 20 people that score more points than Alex English. Ever.
11 straight seasons doing it too, though. But go ahead.
So you have a problem with Reggie Miller in the Hall of Fame?
Oh yeah, he doesn't get my vote.
Kyle? Yeah, if it takes this long, it should be a no. Like, if he's really a Hall of Famer, this shouldn't be that hard.
Well, I mean, look. Hold on. See, this is what. All right, I'm gonna say if you don't look at them and automatically think Hall of Famer, then it's a no. Then I mean, you look at all of Alex English, and I'm sorry. I wouldn't put Reggie in. I wouldn't put Reggie in.
There you go.
Hall of very great. Hall of very great. Reggie Miller.
No, just Hall of good. 5 seasons of 20 points for his career. Hall of just good.
Best 3-point shooter in the 90s.
I think he's 64th in percentage-wise in shooting it. I don't care when he did shoot in the 90s, but I think he's 64th all time though.
Right. And at the end of the day, this is like all time. I mean, I know everybody.
That's great for the 90s, but
yeah, we're comparing to the all time. This,
he's not doing the top 5 90s.
That's what I'm saying. I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like when I'm
percentages.
I'm not comparing him all time. I'm comparing him against his contemporaries during that era and whatnot. But I'm not comparing him against. I'm not going to compare him against Steph Curry. I'm not going to compare him against, whoever came before him in the 80s. I'm comparing him to the players that he played with because we're picking the best
comparing him to everyone.
Of that era.
Right. This isn't the 90s Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame all time. So why wouldn't you compare it to everybody? Because everybody could get in.
So then you can't ever put a big man in the Hall of Fame because nobody would compare to Wilt.
No, I could put Shaq in. I could put Kareem in. Yes, I can. It's easy.
Kareem's in there.
Shaq's not a Hall of Fame.
Kareem is in there. Look at Kareem's stats are ridiculous. Kareem's in there. Hakeem's stats are ridiculous. Robertson's in there.
Hakeem is a no-brainer. Moses Malone is in.
David Robinson's in there.
But if we're comparing them against the great players that came before them, if you're telling me Wilt is the Hall of Famer, and then you're going to tell me Shaq is the Hall of Famer, Shaq is nowhere near as good as Wilt. So then there's no way Shaq could be a Hall of Famer.
That's fine. That's fine.
I think
if you think Wilt is better than him, that's fine. But that doesn't take away from Shaq being better than other players.
But that's my point. You're saying Shaq was the best player during his era.
No, he was
I think Shaq was great during every era.
Shaq was one of the
We're
best players
saying
ever.
Shaq is a great
And
player.
Reggie Miller is one of the greatest 3-point shooters ever.
Okay. I have no doubt about that.
That's agreed, but he's not one
No
of the best
doubt about it. No
players
fighting
ever.
that. No fighting that.
He's not one of the best players.
Greatest player is where you have an issue with me.
When you got to give me the specialty and say he's the greatest at that, I'm just talking about player.
He is.
He's obviously he's a better 3-point shooter than Shaq.
Yeah. He's got 25,000 points. So obviously he's a great scorer and he's a great 3-point shooter.
He averages 18. I don't consider that as a great scorer, given 18 a game.
5 seasons give me 20 or more. So
yeah, 18 a game is
definitely not a great scorer.
Yeah, that's not a great scorer, bro. Great 3-point shooter, I give you. Great scorer, now.
You probably gave 5 seasons that he gave you 20 points.
And you can't tell me error because Nick and Jordan was giving me 30 a night. So you can't tell me error on that either. Like, he is what he is.
Out of 18 seasons, give me 5 seasons of over 20. That's he's good.
Yeah, good player.
Look, you talking about the 90s when the average score of a game was 82 to 81.
This
is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you can't compare it. There was no scoring in the 90s.
So
There's no scoring in the 90s.
So whoever won't be there won't be there.
Right. Because you're saying that Dominique gave me 25 a game, Bird gave me 24, Jordan gave me 30. That's the 80s. It didn't hinder them, but he's not them.
The 80s and the 90s are totally different eras.
So some people won't.
So what do you want Reggie at in the 80s or the 90s?
I got 80. I said the 90s.
Okay, so
Michael Jordan.
The prime of his career was during the 90s.
Jordan averaged 30. You couldn't give me 20?
Karl Malone.
Karl Malone averaged 25. You couldn't give me 20?
You're talking about the two of the
Hakeem
three best scorers
Olajuwon.
in NBA history.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
So what do you rank Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robertson, and Charles Barkley?
Again, all great scorers. They're all great scorers. And I'm saying Reggie Miller is amongst them.
No, he's not, because he doesn't average 20. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You can ask you a question. All right, let's think about
this.
All right, so what do you make Clyde Drexler then? He gave you 20.
Right. This is like 6 people that gave you 20 in that era.
Clyde Drexler, like,
he's just not with it.
Clyde Drexler prime was the 80s.
No, he was in the 90s too. He was there.
No. I said his prime was in the 80s. Clyde came into the league in what, 82, 83, 83.
But my point is he still ended up averaging 20 playing in the 90s, where what you're saying his stats would have went down. He still gave me 20 again.
At the end of his career. I mean, so what are you saying?
I'm saying he's better than Reggie Miller.
What I'm saying is during the height of Reggie Miller's career, scoring in the NBA all over was down. During the height of his career,
it was down for him. It wasn't down for the people.
No, it was down for the whole league.
We just named 10 people that averaged 20, bro.
Hold on. If you look at NBA, the average team score from the 80s to the 90s, you telling me that teams didn't average more in the 80s than in the 90s?
But we're not talking about teams. You're talking about individual players. There's players that average over 20.
All right, move on.
You gotta understand.
You missing my point. You missing my point.
Honestly, I don't think you have a point. Like, if you...
All right, you got it. You're right.
Like, everybody's going 20
so is
except
it
him.
2 out, 2 in, or 3 out, 3? Right?
All right, fellas, let's recap. Carmelo Anthony, he's in. Is he in?
He get my vote.
Yes.
Okay. And Kyle, you got Carmelo Anthony in?
Go ahead, put everybody in. Everybody over 25, whatever. Put everybody in, man. Go ahead. I got Melo in. I got Melo in.
Good move.
Go ahead, put him in.
All right. Melo's in then. Which we call it, the other person on contention was Paul Pierce.
He gets my vote. He gets my vote.
Kyle.
Everybody in.
Kyle, don't be like
wait.
that.
So a quarter in 1960 would be like $5 right now. So you're telling me Reggie Miller?
Hold on, wait. So
It's about 30 points.
I don't understand it. We putting Melo in because he got 28,000 points.
Take the whole let everybody in.
He got six
I'll
All
take
NBA
that.
teams. He
I'm
got
like,
six
damn,
All
I'm
NBA
for the
teams.
smoke.
Never made the finals, but we not gonna put Dwight Howard in, who got 7 All NBA teams, led a team to the finals, 3 Defensive Players of the Year's award, 5 All NBAs. Dwight Howard doesn't get in, but Carmelo gets in because he got 28,000 points.
He scored 20 points 3 times. But it's great.
Oh my God! And that's my point. If that's the criteria, then put everybody in.
No, that's my thing. That's my thing.
We don't put Dwight Howard in. No,
I have 37 players. I don't put Dwight in.
No. Everybody, as I'm saying, like Harden, everybody, all of these guys, put all of these guys in. Right now.
If Harden continues, he will be in. I don't doubt that. If Kyrie continues, he will be.
We're weighing the points. We're weighing the scoring way too high. We're weighing the scoring way too high.
That's
what.
No, you know what?
Winning.
You know what?
That's what.
You said 30%. So you weigh the scoring like what? 50%.
They're great players. All right. So if that's the case, and that's why I don't want to.
Hold on. Now answer that. How much do you weigh the scoring? 50%? Because you said for 100%.
About 95%.
Oh my God.
95%. I got winning barely anything. I got rebound about 5%. These are great players. These are great players.
Jesus Christ.
And Kyle, if it makes you feel any better, all your ranting the Raven has me rethinking Carmelo as far as, hey, what else does he have to add on to his resume? Especially since he doesn't have a chip. So, you know what? I'm changing my vote, Kyle. You convinced me. Carmelo's not in the Hall of Fame for me.
Right, because if you take Carmelo out, let's be clear though, and he gives you, would you prefer Carmelo to give you 28 points, maybe 5 assists, 5 rebounds, no chips, or 7 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 chips, or 7 chips? Who would you prefer you won? The guy that gave you championships, correct?
What's important? My thing would be.
So let's go to Bob Horry and let's get him in here. Bring up Bob Horry's name. Get him in here.
That's not what
what are we weighing?
What I'm saying, Bill. And whatchamacallit, my thing is, hey, I acknowledge the 28,000. That's why I consider Carmelo. But now, hey, let's go deeper into Carmelo Anthony's resume. Does he have a chip? No. All right, that's one chip. Does he have an MVP? No, he doesn't have that. Does he have a defensive? Does he have any other accolades that I can add on besides the 28,000 points?
Does he have a Defensive Player of the Year award in which they vote on? No, I'm saying like.
See, the thing with these awards, like the MVP, the defensive player, these are the same people who put these bums.
I mean, they gave even a scoring title, Pete. I'll even take that.
Melo has a scoring title. Melo has a scoring title. Melo has a scoring title.
Right, so MVP is subjective too, because now it takes away from Kobe and adds to Nash. Nash has 2. Nash have none.
Right. Hold on. Melo has only finished top 10 in MVP voting twice.
But these are the same guys who vote on the Hall of Fame.
They gave Nash too.
I don't even respect their vote.
I'm not talking about winning it. I'm talking about top 10 finishing.
I don't care.
It discredits it if you won it. Nash won it twice, bro. I don't even care about the voting, bro. Twice he won it.
Like, if I cared about their voting, we wouldn't do the show. We would just copy and paste what they already said. I don't care.
But I think to Kyle's point, I think the point he's trying to make is that, hey, points can't be the be all end all. Besides, whatchamacallit, that can't be the only measure.
Right. That's why Vince isn't in.
All right. So just take it for instance, Steve Nash. Right. Steve Nash has two MVPs.
Then my thing would be like, hey, if you're not putting in Vince because he got that 25,000 and whatnot and the whole 9, what about Carmelo career, or what did you see that was so much better besides
he's a better scorer because he actually has a scoring title that Vince doesn't have. He actually averaged over 20 points, which Vince didn't. He actually led his team to the Western Conference Finals, where Vince never got out the second round leading the team. That's why I think he's better than Vince Carter.
Okay.
I mean, 15. I mean, averaging 20, 15 seasons out of your career should say something.
Yeah, like
Okay.
That's Hall. Averaging 20 for 15 seasons is Hall. I mean, that's not good. I mean, the object is like the grand old be all object is to win the game.
You ever considered Carmelo?
I mean, can we be fair about this though? Can we be fair about this? If Carmelo gave you 3 points, we wouldn't be talking about this, right? Like it wouldn't be like the object of the game is also to put the ball inside the hoop, and he was elite at doing it for a 15-year span, which means he's a Hall of Famer.
You ever considered Carmelo Anthony a top 5 player in the league?
When he was playing, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come on. Don't do that.
You did?
Carmelo. Come on.
Well,
come on, Kyle.
When was Melo a top 5? When was Melo a top 5 player in the league?
Denver?
I might have had him maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I would say 2008, 2009. That Denver.
I mean, maybe 2 years I had him in there.
One season.
But you asked, did you ask? The answer is yes, and I did it twice.
So maybe 2 seasons. So in a 20-year career, 2 seasons, he's been a top 5 player in the league.
Okay.
And we're considering that Hall of Fame worthy.
Oh, I got people that's not even at times maybe couldn't maybe not during their time, and that's in my Hall of Fame, that might not have been in the top 5.
Right, like I don't think Stockton was ever a top 5 player, ever. He's in.
I mean, I didn't think Karl Malone was a top 5 player, and he's in. And I don't like Karl Malone. I never thought he was a top 5 player when he was playing.
Karl Malone has what, 2 MVPs?
Hold on, let me do this again. I never thought Karl Malone was a top 5 player. If you did, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, all right.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think we just look at things different. That's all.
Yeah.
He's a great player. He's in the Hall of Fame. I just never thought he was a top 5 player.
And let me say this: it's no slight to Melo because I love Melo. He's probably my 3rd favorite. He is. But if we're saying if we're trying to delineate between the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Great, I think Melo makes the Hall of Great. I don't think he makes the Hall of Fame.
That's fair. I think that's why they asked you though.
Yeah. Vince Carter.
What about him?
He's out.
My vote quickly. Yes, he's gone. No, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Vince Carter's in the Hall of Good.
Kyle?
No.
Is he in your Hall?
No.
Alex English?
No.
You got him in? P?
I got him in.
Kyle?
No.
On what basis?
Alex English?
Yeah, what basis? We're talking about Alex English.
I mean, we just went through the whole. So I think again, very good scorer during a high scoring era in NBA history. Very good scorer. You know what I mean? But
why did everyone during that era average that then? Why don't I have more plays on my
Nobody's saying everybody averaged it. If you look at those Denver Nugget teams, they had like 3 guys averaging 20 points a game those seasons.
Michael Adams gave me 14.7.
Dan Issel was giving you 20 a night.
Kiki
was giving you 20 a night.
I have no problem with that. I have no issue with Dan Issel. I have no issue with Dan Issel. So you're throwing rocks at the throne. He's on my list. So that's on you. I have no problem with Issel.
Which of I don't have Alex English in.
Oh, what pieces?
Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller.
He's Reggie Miller?
See?
Oh, no. We're doing Reggie Miller.
No. No to Reggie.
Hill?
Man, come on, bro, man.
No Reggie Miller?
No.
Okay. Kyle?
What was all that for?
No,
bro?
no,
Yeah.
no,
All right.
Nah, 'cause I strongly consider him, but no.
Reggie Miller is out. Next person, Jerry West.
Oh, come on, Mo. Yes.
Yeah, he's in. He has my vote. He has my vote. I don't want to jump the gun because.
Kyle? Jerry
Yes. Yes.
West. Okay. Last person on my scoring list, 25, James Harden.